All right, we are live. All right, Josh
Cool.
is
How's it
out
going?
sick. Good. Just got back from the trip, so I'm trying to catch up on everything. I tried
Did
to
you
at least.
did, did you do any
Okay.
work on the trip?
I tried to keep caught up on email for the most part. That's all I really did. So, yeah. So it
Where all were
wasn't
you
too
guys
bad.
at?
Uh, well, we did Oahu first, stayed in Waikiki, at like the Outrigger Reef, and then we did let's see. So then we went from there. We did like Atlantis submarine, like a submarine ride, and then
Really?
yeah, that was pretty cool. And
In
then
the main
we did
island? Like Oahu?
on Oahu, yeah, yeah, and then a luau on Oahu, and then went to
Mm,
Polynesian Cultural Center, and then
yeah.
hiked up Diamond Head, which is cool. And then went to Maui, and then and Maui we did like it was a little bit more laid back. Did like some like snorkeling ourselves. Went on a snorkeling trip to Molokini, and yeah, we visited like
Nice.
did the road to Hana.
Nice. So Oahu and Maui.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah,
Nice. How long? Like a week? Week and a
yeah,
half?
yeah. A week. Yep. Yep.
Nice. So what's new? What's happening with business?
Let me see. Well, getting a lot of sales coming in. We're seeing like, around, it's looking like we're averaging now like 12 to 15K per week in sales. So
Nice.
yeah, so that's pretty good. Like last week was 12.6K, and the week before was 16.7K, and the week before was 24K. So
Wow. 24K.
yeah, yeah.
How did that happen?
I think a lot of that one was the one where it came from. I sent an email to the Simple Programmer list talking about what financial freedom was, and so ended up getting a lot of developers. It was a good email with a good pitch. I was talking about how to get how I get actually no, that was the one where I sent how to get 60% returns on my real estate, and then sent them to a video that they had to put their email address in, and then they followed up with that. So, and we're getting some outbound, a bunch of outbound ones where the outbound DMs are actually getting sales. So that's really good.
Outbound DMs too.
Just yeah, outbound DMs. So basically anyone who liked the reel, or um, we outbound message them. So
They aren't necessarily your followers. They're just they haven't shown any interest except for a like.
right, exactly. Yep, yep,
Nice.
yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, and that's good because that's the best source, because that's an unlimited supply, right? There's like you
Hmm.
can literally scale that up as much as there's not much of a limit on how high you could scale that up. So
Yeah, that's really good. Like that's pretty pretty big source. How's the funnel looking on that? What's the conversion, or what's like how many people do you reach out to and how many people end up on the call and how many people buy?
I don't know the numbers on that yet. I gotta talk to them about getting a good system for tracking those numbers, but they should be able to pull together the analytics on that and figure out what the percentage is. Now we have enough data.
Yeah. So what is the data telling you? What are some of the things you guys are seeing? What are the numbers on your funnels now?
I mean, they're pretty much holding steady. I would say like we've got, from it's a little tricky now because I can't go off of the landing page hits as much, because some of them are coming from direct from DMs now. So, but we're getting like around 20 or so setter calls per week that people show up on, and then that's
But
translating
still, how
to
many landing page views?
uh like around it's still around 200 landing page hits. Yeah.
200 landing page hits. How many emails you guys collect?
I don't know. I need to check the emails because I only have emails coming through on my system on the one that has the gate for the real estate video, but further that would be applications that are coming in, right? So which is basically books that are calls. So it's about a 10%. Actually, see, it was a higher rate though the last 2 weeks of conversions on that landing of book setter calls, which isn't exactly conversions on landing page because some of those could be coming from DMs as well. So the best thing to look at is like, what is the number of calls that we're getting. So essentially we're getting maybe 20 setter calls per week with about 10 closing calls. So 50% there. And then of the closing call, the show up rate is like 75%. It looks like 5 to 6 people show up, and then the closes is over 50%, close to 70%.
Okay, well,
yeah, in fact it's looking like
is definitely, or it might be, it's not average, right? You're just looking at a week.
No, it's average. I'm looking at, the close rate is super, super high on there, right? In fact, if you include the downsell closes, then it's over 100% in some of the weeks because the downsell closes happen higher upstream, right? So
what's your overall close rate then over the last 3 months or whatever you want to look at, from call to close?
From closing call to close? So of straight up calls, there's 40 closing call, or let me see. Okay, closing calls. We've got 77 closing calls
in the last,
like all time, and 40 closes.
Yeah. So 40% close rate.
Yeah. If we went from July.
No, more like 50%, over 50% close rate.
Yeah. If we went from July, like beginning of July, let's say, right? Then there's 28 closing calls with 19 closes.
So there are two reasons why the close rate is so high. One is because it's your warm traffic potentially, but it's not really, because you're getting traffic from other sources too. The other is because they're screening too hard.
Yeah.
So typically people have close rates like 20 to 40%.
Yeah. So there's some potential to increase the
that high a close rate really means that you guys are missing out on volume.
Yeah. I mean, there's a bunch of downsell closes as well in there too. So those ones are some of the screening out ends up being a downsell close. So
it's good. Yeah. The closing percentage is great.
Things are definitely improving.
So how many hits total overall on the sale on that page so far then?
Like total landing page hits?
Yeah, that you guys have tracked.
3,200.
3,200 hits.
Yeah.
77 show ups. 2% show up. 2.5% show up.
Yeah. Yeah, total sales volume is is approaching 200K now too. So
3,200, 200K, 200,000. So it's almost like, you should be sending traffic. You should be running paid traffic to it.
Yeah, I'm working on that. Yeah,
because that's like $100 per visit, more, not even 100, like $150 per visit is what you're getting per landing page visit. Not to say that it's going to hold up with cold traffic all the time with ads, but still, if you're paying $3 a click and you're getting $100 per visitor, that's a huge arbitrage.
Yeah. So we're going to be running. I'm just waiting on on them to get the ad started up again, but I've got the new VSL recorded and or it's edited, so we should be good to run that. Let me see if I've got the VSL. Actually, I should probably check what the status. Or no, I've got a meeting to talk about that. This.
So it's the same guys who are going to be running your ads. Just happens to be a new landing page and a new.
Yeah.
It's a new landing page, different landing page.
It's
with an opt-in.
Yeah. Let me see what it looks like here.
So these guys are still going to try to send traffic to the page they have built, while the Facebook ads guy is going to send traffic to the other page that you built, the landing page.
Yeah, I think we're gonna combine them at some point here because there's really no need to have a second, like the landing page that works for paid traffic should be the same. It should work for warm traffic as well. If it works for paid traffic, right? So
3,200 page visits. What is it? 1,000 email? No, not even 1,000. That would be a lot. 700 emails, 800 emails, maybe. That would be a lot too, given that you don't really do a lead capture.
Yeah.
What is it?
How many emails?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know the email because it's really applications, right?
So, is it the same thing? Like you don't put in your email until you apply? Is that how it works?
Yeah. The application is.
So how many applications then?
Let me see what the total is. That'd be book setter calls. So 374.
So 10%.
Yeah, but remember some of those are coming direct from DMs, so it's a little skewed.
A little bit, but not that bad. It's still good. 3,200 to 374 applications is it's really good. I mean,
here's the landing page.
People can get. There's a new one.
Yeah. Yeah, so we got a much longer VSL here. That's more of the traditional VSL.
Hang on, the VSL is on the page itself?
Yeah.
Where is the opt-in?
At the bottom, step 1, step 2, or yeah.
No. Where is the opt-in?
No, because it's the email. Because right there, when you put in your name and email address, is the application.
No. Where is the landing page? Okay, where is this? Let me show you.
I know what you're saying, like the pop-up for like to put in your email
address. Pop-up. No, not pop-up.
Or like
the first page. This is the second. This should be the second page. This should not be the first page.
You're saying there should be an email capture before this.
Let me show
that's true. Yeah.
Like, where's this? Where's this?
Right. Yeah.
Only when you like. Let me see if I can find the other one. But so this is step 1.
Yeah.
Then I put myself, watch the video instantly, right?
Right.
Then it goes here. There's nothing else here. They watch the damn thing. And then there's a button with a call to action to book a call.
Yeah.
Because you don't want, like, you're going to throw away so much money if you just send people directly here. Because not everyone who, the problem is with cold traffic, people are going to come to this page. They don't necessarily have 15 minutes right away.
Right.
So they're not going to watch the video and definitely not like go through 5 steps here. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
So you're gonna spend a whole lot of money and not able to like follow up with it with 90% of those people.
Yeah.
Right. You'll have a huge bounce rates because they're not gonna. So at least this one you'll get like 25 to 30% opt-in, and then you can follow up with them. Which follow-up will dwarf your initial sale over time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Or
because you
initial
can
like capture from this. Whatever you
keep
get from
hitting
this
those
on,
leads.
whatever you get from your ads,
Yeah,
like anyone who converts from this page, follow up will give like 5x more if you
yeah,
can have their name and email address and phone number. So you need this page.
yeah. I'm gonna have them put that page in.
Yeah. These guys are used to probably just running it directly for warm traffic. That's why they're doing this right now. Assuming that someone already has their name and email address and phone number, so you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. Well, this guy that's doing the ad is doing a different. He's not running warm traffic. He's just doing ad traffic. But we'll have to see.
He built this landing page.
The Facebook ads guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't see anyone running these kinds of landing pages right now.
Yeah. Well, let me see. I'll be talking to him and seeing what the plan is here. So, but
yeah, there should be a wrapper around this, and this should not even show up till a little bit later, at least after they have watched the video, so that they're not like suddenly. What I'm saying is the form. You don't see it anymore.
Yeah, the form until until a certain point.
It's so much easier to just have the button there, so the button will lead to the form.
Exactly. Yeah. This way they don't see a bunch of them.
There's quite a few things like a few optimizations that can help a lot here. Like just saying 1 out of 5 can give people a heart attack.
Right.
1 out of 5. So much better to just take name, email, phone number in the application process. Like don't even show them 1 out of 5.
Right. Exactly.
Just let it unfold as they do it. Yeah. But it's good, man. You like all that matters is the offer is converting.
Yeah.
Everything else is gravy at this point. So.
Yeah, if we can get the paid ads going, I think then that'll be huge. Then we can scale it up. Then we can get to 6 figures per month easily. So
yeah, that's the real scale.
Yeah. But yeah, I also hired a community manager role, so that's going to be good because then
for what?
For all of Bulldog Mindset. Yeah, so they're going to do all of Bulldog Mindset, including the Well program, right? Just they're going to be in charge of creating interaction in the community, right? Getting threads going, talking to people, getting feedback, right? Just making it more of a community, right? Hiring or appointing people as community champions. So but yeah, those are the big things. But I think what else I did, that's mostly what I've been working on. What about you?
I've been working on my automated webinar. So I just went live, I just kind of pushed it live today. So we'll see how that's going. But yeah, it's automated for focus blocks.
Okay. And you're running ads to it?
No, it just is going to my list just to see what the hell is.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Just to kind of validate the first steps for it. So probably gonna run to the list maybe today and tomorrow through the weekend just to gather some data to because all of automated webinar is totally new to me, trying to figure out what works, what doesn't work. Live webinar is kind of easier now that I've done it so many times. Automated is a new beast. So
yeah. I wonder though, the only thing that I would be curious about with that is, if you run it to your list, will you get bad data because your list is already exhausted on the,
That is true. So irrespective of what happened, this is more like a flush. I want to iron out all the kinks and all that stuff. People asking me questions what about this, what about that? So I know what is not what's working, what's not working, if there are any technical issues, glitches, because it's a complete like it's not like a Zoom auto webinar. Like I'm using a completely separate software. There's
Right.
like 10 steps in the software for, they have their own email notification systems, not necessarily using ConvertKit for all of it. And then hooking up so many different pages, and it's a beast. Like
Yeah.
putting together auto webinar, it's like a lot of different, like 10 different things that you have to control. So I'm rolling this out for the next couple of days just for my list, just to see what happens. But yeah, the plan is to run traffic to this next week, irrespective of what happens, as
Yeah.
long as it's like,
As long as it works.
as long as I know it's not broken. I think that's the answer, right?
Yeah.
As long as it's not broken, I have to run traffic to it, because you're right. The list has seen this way too many times. Yeah, there are some stragglers who just who haven't yet done the, haven't yet gone through the webinar, or haven't been to the live webinar, and haven't been to the Focusbox sales page or something like that. But most of them have done one or the other over the last 1 year.
Yeah.
So at this point, the need is to send them to yeah. One of the things I've been thinking about is like, because Chuck wanted to do a affiliate deal with me, and Chuck's traffic is good for me. It's always been. The last few times we did double your productivity by 5 p.m. tomorrow, I literally it was like a pitch all the way, pitch. And I just gave them a coupon code and told them to go check it out. So they didn't get the price, and they had to go get the price using the coupon code. And that's how we were able to make a really good deal. But it was almost like when I look at Chuck's, when I look back at it, and I'm like, okay, that was actually a webinar without me knowing how to do a webinar.
Oh, right. Yeah. Basically,
it was a real webinar. Yeah. I told the story, then I aggravated, like all of the stuff, like, well, not all of them, but a lot of it I was like doing it on the webinar, on that podcast. So now the question becomes, as I'm rolling this out with Chuck's audience, because think about it, it's the podcast is one sales mechanism,
right?
I could send them to the sales page after that, I could send them to the webinar after that, or I could just send them to the cart page after that, right? A lot of different ways to do this, and I've been like racking my brain. Should I send them direct? Like, should I do the podcast interview in a way that kind of basically do the whole webinar on the podcast interview itself, and then give them a trial, like the podcast, like the webinar trial or something as an offer, and don't tell them the price and let them find it out? Or do I kind of build it up a little bit and still send them to the training, still send them to the webinar training to get the offer?
I mean, yeah, I think the thing is, you want to delay talking about price for as long as possible when it's a high price.
Right.
Because the more someone gets sold into it, the less the price matters, right? Whereas the price is an immediate deterrent. I was just talking with one of my coaching clients tonight, because he was like, oh, I put my coaching price on the page, and I was like, I was like, no, it's better to not do that, because then you get on the call with them, and then once they're sold on it, then they can find out the price, so
exactly. So not tying the price is definitely part of the deal, irrespective of whether I do the whole webinar on the podcast or send them to the webinar by initially doing a little bit of the work. Like, so there are two, maybe three approaches to this. One is to talk about it, to sell the training.
Right.
One is to sell the webinar so that they'll come watch the webinar. One is to do the webinar live on podcast and let them find the price at the end of it. Never reveal the price, irrespective. I don't reveal the price. But one is to just do the podcast, the webinar on the podcast, and then say, by the way, go to this link to grab this right now and enter the coupon code, blah, 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 to get a deal that nobody else can get, right?
I think if you can pull off doing the webinar on the podcast, that would be best. I don't know if you can pull it off in a podcast format. you have to like make it so that it feels like a podcast. But if you can essentially pull off the webinar, the elements of the webinar, right, walking them through it with a more conversational tone, right, with Chuck asking you some questions and whatnot.
Well,
That's
I'm
going to
not gonna
be
use I'm not gonna use slides, right? So it'll
right,
be conversational. I will be talking to Chuck,
right,
but I will
right,
let Chuck know these are the 10 talking points we're gonna go
exactly.
through.
I think if you do that, that'll be more effective, because it's when people listen to podcasts, they listen to them all the way through, right? For the most part, when people go to a webinar, a lot of people drop off and they don't listen to it all the way through. So
Yeah.
because if you've got, if you're doing 2 touch points, right? In order for someone to listen to the podcast and then go to the webinar page and sign up and then listen to the webinar, you're going to lose a lot of people. Whereas if they're all just listening to the webinar essentially on the podcast, I feel like that's going to have a better result, almost
Yeah.
guaranteed.
Yeah. Um, well, there are 2 sides to the equation, right? A lot of people will go one way or the other. The other side of the equation that people would argue with is like, if you build up the training and send people to that training, you're going to have a lot more lead capture.
Right.
So opportunity to follow up, opportunity to later, even if it's like a week or 2 or 3 down the line, still make that money back. But you'll have a better lead capture mechanism. Here it's almost like, finally I'm making the offer and a select few will go and try and get the offer here. But with a lead capture, it's more wider leads or more bigger lead capture opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, I would still say that you're better off. I mean, if you think of it this way, right? Let's say that, I mean, how many people listen to that podcast, right? Well, let's just say, like, let's just use 100. Let's say 100 people listen to the podcast, right? Of those 100 people that listen to the podcast, right? How many people would then go and sign up for the webinar, right? Maybe, you're looking at maybe 5, right? 5%
5% would be,
right?
Yeah, 5 would be good. Yeah.
And
You
then
get
of the
15,000
people,
downloads.
yeah, of the people that sign up for the webinar, how many people are going to actually show up for the webinar, right? Maybe like half of that, right? So, let's say 2.5 people.
Well, 150, how many will actually click? 5. How many will opt in? Half of that.
Right.
How many will show up? Even one half of that. So 5, 2.5, 1.25.
Yeah. So maybe you could say 1%. So
1%. Yeah, 1 to 2%, 1%
but
2% viewership.
But if you just do the webinar on the podcast, right?
Yeah.
Then 100% of people, or let's say 95% of people, will listen to the webinar pitch, right?
Yeah.
Right. And then maybe, if you can get a 5% conversion on that, which it might be possible, maybe even if you got half the conversion, if you got 2.5% conversion, let's say, or 2% conversion, that's going to be a lot more profitable, right? Because those numbers are going to be a lot higher.
It's true. It's true. I mean, I remember Double Your Productivity by 5 p.m. tomorrow. When we did that promotion a few years ago, probably 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Black Friday promotion. It was what? He was getting around 15,000 to 20,000 downloads. And we sold $10,000 at the time.
Yeah.
Just off of the podcast, no email, nothing. And assuming average cart value was around $150, that's like 60, 70 people who bought the product.
Yeah.
From that one podcast out of 15,000 people. So 0.5% conversion.
Yeah.
Right. So that'd be a good, what's his name? Joel Irving. He's been talking about this whole new podcast style of selling, like the podcast webinar model or something.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
You know the guy, right? Remember?
Yeah, yeah, I read the book.
Yeah, he's been like running ads to this thing, or even sending emails about it. It's like a podcast. It's a webinar disguised as a podcast.
Right.
So you go through the whole process, and at the end you make a pitch. But I actually felt when I listened to his, so he did it with what's his name, Todd Brown.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So he actually hosted the podcast, and Todd Brown was the guy who was pitching his product. And I listened to that just as a marketer's curiosity to see what it was. And I thought it was a terrible
Yeah.
it was terrible. I do, like, I was like, this is bad. This is bad. Like, just go
Yeah.
back and do what Russell says. Just tell the story. Just let,
Right.
don't try to freaking reinvent the wheel and do shit that, like, I felt it was bad because it was not engaging, because he was trying to, like, almost like go into theories and all that stuff, and like tell me about this, and it almost felt too orchestrated compared
Right.
to what could have been much simpler, like tell me the story. And just like that's just stories always sell. Story pain, you'll sell that so much
Exactly.
better than
Yeah.
trying to explain a framework on a podcast. So, but yeah, I think I'll try that out.
Yeah.
Try that
Yeah.
out and see what happens out of it. It'll be fun.
Good.
But yeah, you're right. Like, I'm not gonna get much good data from the list anymore. Whether it's Quantum Leap or for Focusbox, it's just like you have to
Yeah.
keep you have to get new data from new traffic sources now.
It is amazing how much you can milk out of a list, though, that you wouldn't think that. I mean, you would think people have heard this offer before, but every time that there's more people that come, it's crazy because we're sending, daily emails to the Bulldog Mindset list, right? Pitching the 15-minute call, and every single day we would get like 30 clicks.
How many calls were you getting from the list?
Huh?
How many calls were you getting from that list?
I don't know exactly what because I don't have it tracked at that level, but I know that we're sending 30 clicks to the landing page per day. So
yeah, I mean, even if you consider 2% conversion, you're almost sending 2 to 3% conversion on that. You're sending one call a day.
Yeah.
And one call is worth how much to you now?
150 is what we.
No, not one. One lead is worth 100.
A call.
One website visit is worth 150.
Right.
One lead is worth almost $700, $800 to you right now.
Yeah.
But that's skewed. It's not going to be the truth.
Yeah.
One call
once we get some big numbers, then we'll.
Yeah, 77 calls is what you've done so far, right? 77 or 100? What is it? 77 plus 27, or what is it?
Total calls is 77. Yeah. Closing calls.
You made $200,000, right?
Yeah, I mean the total is at about
each call is worth almost 250, or each call is worth what, $2,000 at least.
Yeah.
You should be doing more calls. Get them to do more calls. What I mean by that is like lower
the bar for the screening,
or the bar, because $2,000 per call, you might be losing. And the fact that you have such high conversion rate is always it's like, yeah, that means you're not selling hard enough, or not selling hard enough in the sense you're not going wide enough.
And they're also not pushing the price point high enough, which I'm getting them to do now, because they're selling a lot at the 3K price point, but it needs to be at the 5K. And so now they've hit most of them at 4K, and then now it's all going to be 5K, because even if it's just payment plans, do it like 5K. It's much better to do a 5K price point and take 2K up front, and then whatever, and then do a payment plan there, or take 3K up front if you can, than to sell at 3K. So,
or you can sell two options: the 5K for 6 months or 8K for the whole year.
Yeah.
Because that's like, when you think about it, pricing is the easiest way to make at that conversion rate, you should be charging more, because you should be charging more, or you should be letting in more people, because something's got to give. You need to get to like 20 to 30% conversion rate. And
Yeah.
that means if you increase your pricing a whole lot, if you double the pricing, that might be the that might be getting you there. Who knows?
Yeah.
People are selling $10,000 products on financial stuff all day long. 10,
Oh, yeah.
20.
Yeah.
Yeah. You should just put a stop to 3K now.
Yeah, we did. I put us up to 3K. So yeah,
They have to do 5K plus sales.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Anything new on Instagram front in terms of running ads on it?
On Instagram itself, I haven't been running ads on Instagram itself. I mean, it'll be Facebook that we're running. I mean, I've got reels that are doing, that are doing well, that I'm putting out. I've got a mix of reels. What I found I think works best is a mix, right? So the way that I do the reels now is I've basically got a bunch of categories. So like when I record the TikTok reels, basically it's like money, dating, masculinity, mindset, fitness, and then kind of just random me ones, like personal type of information type of stuff. And then what I try to do is sort of make it so that the money ones aren't too many of them, right? Because those ones don't get as many views, right? But like I get some real good dating ones, masculine ones. Those ones get the biggest views in mindset, and then and then pull people in that way, and then they end up watching some of the money ones, right? So,
you know why you don't get much on the money ones?
Because the whole account isn't focused on money, yeah, which is sort of the thing too. But it's like what I realize is that what I need to do is play to my personality, because here's the thing, right? Like the thing that gets people more fired up and I'm having better results is when my account looks like who I am, right? What am I doing? Running, doing these things, like, talking about, a variety of different topics. That's like, because again, even the people that I'm finding that are new subscribers or whatever, they're like, oh yeah, I like this, this content that you're producing. Like, I liked your mindset. Like so people, even, I started watching your videos 2 weeks ago, or listen to your reels. They're still, so I think that's the key, because I'm resonating. It's people that I resonate with, right? That's a thing. So at least at this stage of the game, I think that makes sense. Eventually with ads, we can be more targeted and focused, and
you might have 2 different or 3 different paths.
Yeah.
As possibilities. One is to rebrand as your own personal name. And then it's everything goes anyways, or stay with Bulldog Mindset, or go a whole hog on the wealth one.
Well, what I'm going to do too is remember you got me to buy wealthyprogrammer.com. Right. So what I realized was I'm revamping Simple Programmer to just be a straight up funnel for this, right? Because my best customers are programmers, because there's so many people that are in the Well program. Programmers are making over 200K per year. And for them, it's like a no brainer, like 5K price point. Right. It's like such a bargain to them. They're like, fuck yeah, 5K. Right. So, so the plan is I actually fired my content team for Simple Programmer, and I replaced them with one guy, right? That is a dedicated, his whole thing is he's going to do keyword research, which he's already done. And he's going to be the one article writer. He writes all the articles. He's going to revamp the old articles. His whole job is to increase blog traffic, and then to create opt-ins and to get conversions over to the email automation, where we're going to send them to essentially to wealthyprogrammer.com. And then, and so from the Simple Programmer standpoint, what it's going to look like is the message is going to be, I teach programmers how to become wealthy programmers. right? And that's where I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
start shifting the YouTube channel and all of that content in that direction. Because if I teach wealthy programmers how to become a wealthy, financially free programmer, bam, that's perfect. Then everything aligns. That's my best clientele anyway. I can take that entire asset of Simple Programmer and turn that into a money generating machine. So
Yep, that's what we were talking about, like even
yeah,
3 months ago. Like go
yeah,
with the wealthy programmer all the way, and because simple programmer don't have any legs anymore, it's just not worth it to continue to sell those courses. It's just not. You can sell them as a bonus to like people who join the wealthy programmer. Like, yeah, and by the way, because you're a programmer, you'll also get access to this, this, and this from John's library of old content or something. But there's no use
yeah,
selling because you're spending marketing equity on something that's not generating enough ROI for you.
right. And I can give them a more formulaic system for, for achieving the financial freedom, because I know the road for programmers, right, very clearly. I mean, most of the programmers that I work with, like the business that it should create is a YouTube channel talking about a technology, because those channels blow up. It's so easy to build an audience and business doing that, and then they can sell high ticket from there. So that's kind of really the model. It's such an easier. It's probably the easiest thing to grow on YouTube is technology programming channel. So if it's specific, right? So I've
Yeah,
got a
you
lot of
have to be
case
specific.
studies there. So
You have to
it's
be
also
very
my
specific.
best. Yeah, my best case study is from there too, right? So yeah. And
Yeah,
we already know they have the money to invest in real estate, right? Because they're making good money. So there's a bunch of things that make sense. Plus, I have the
yeah,
credibility
yeah,
in that space too. So
yeah. I mean, you should just change the domain name and
mhm.
do the rebranding for sure. Are you gonna keep people? Are you gonna keep Simple Programmer as it is and have wealthyprogrammer.com, or are you just gonna rebrand it to wealthyprogrammer.com and just create content around that?
We're going to keep Simple Programmer as it is. And the strategy is going to be to do, I mean, a lot of the keywords and like kind of the traffic that we're looking for is traffic around sort of soft skills, like career development skills, things that are tangentially related to making more money, right? Because why do people
Mm-hmm.
search for soft skills and software development? Is
Sure.
to make more money, career, right?
Yeah.
And so, and some technology stuff, there'll be some, obviously, but so the idea is to draw in as much as possible with the content that people want, right? That they're
Mm-hmm.
actually looking for. And then from there, we'll transition them to Wealthy Programmer and say, hey, this is the next logical step. Like if you really want to, you need to think about becoming financially free, and push them over to that direction rather than just rebranding everything as Wealthy Programmer. Because I feel like doing that, it's going to be hard to get traffic, because programs aren't really looking for specifically, you're not going to get search traffic on those topics, right? On, it's going to have to be like, career related, all those things that we can really get the search traffic on.
I mean, you can still have search traffic on career related stuff going to
Right.
wealthy programmer domain. So it can
Yeah,
still be an
but
article on career related, because, but it is under the umbrella of wealthy programmer because it's career related.
yeah, it's just not as much. And then, it's not as much traffic. And then the branding for Simple Programmer is pretty powerful at this point, right? Because
Mm-hmm,
we have
mm-hmm.
books, we have all the things that people recognize Simple Programmer name. So yeah.
Yeah, I feel you on that. Yeah, but
But
yeah, if you can keep getting, like, all you need is like 10 people at 10K each to get 100K a month from the simple programmer list.
yeah.
10 people, 2 people a week.
Yeah, that's it.
You,
Yeah.
yeah, you probably should at some point, like you will, but yeah, you should be selling it. You should have a higher ticket version of this, whatever you're going to do with it, whether you just make it a year-long version so it's easier sell for people.
It's funny too. I also, like last week, I was like, or the week before, I was like, oh, I remember I had this old MailChimp list, right? From
Hmm.
the old simple programmer list before it was pruned, right? It was like Josh was using that to send out, to try to get people onto the main, like these were dead. Like everyone that was pruned got on that MailChimp list. So I was like, well, fuck, $700. I paid $700 to reactivate my MailChimp account for 1 month. And I sent an email out to 80,000 people that were pruned from the simple programmer list, right?
Uh-huh.
Open rate was 5%
Okay,
and
not
got about
bad.
200 clicks with the
What?
one email.
Sweet.
So I'm absolutely sure I made more than my $700 back there. I just sent my most
200
powerful
clicks.
email that went to the regular simple programmer list, right? That had the highest conversion, right? Click-through rate. So I could probably, throw out a couple more emails there. It's just free money. So
Yeah. Take all of your best performing emails from the last few months and throw them on that list.
yeah,
Automate that stuff on that list.
but
Buy or die.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah. There's no reason to not do it. So, but yeah, we're about to
Yeah.
publish actually a book on simple programmer. It's been in the works for a long time. So we're doing the book launch for this battle hardened developer book.
Oh, I can't see it. Yeah, kind of
It's
sort of
hard to
see
see.
it.
Yeah, I can sort of, yeah.
Nice. Okay.
But yeah, so that one is completely, written by someone else, but we've got a launch team and everything. So we'll see. Hopefully that, because that's the thing is I want to basically turn simple program into two things. One, a publishing company with the books, which actually generate us really good leads as well, because people who buy your book and read your book are some of your best leads. And then and then just a funnel into the higher ticket wealthy programmer thing. And then if that makes sense, then it would make sense to make a book called The Wealthy Programmer, right? And publish that book as a just lead gen.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that would be good. I mean, that's what did you call, would you do Wealthy Programmer or would you more write a book on Well That Never Runs Dry? That's a good title.
Yeah, I
And
think
then
Wealthy Programmer would be a good book title, right? Because
yeah,
but yeah,
it's for a niche. Well That Never Runs Dry is very broad.
yeah,
It would be broad financial literacy market, financial independence, or whatever you want to call it, finance market.
yeah.
Um,
I mean, you could even
yeah.
have the same book, right? Essentially, like with some minor edits, that could be a mainstream one called The Well That Never Runs Dry Financial Freedom Program, and then Wealthy Programmer. So
Yep. 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 You're the guy. You're the guy on books, so you know how to maneuver that shit.
yeah, but yeah, got a lot of things in the works.
Yeah.
Finally wrapping up Connor Murphy's launch too. That's going to be a huge. I think we're going to do well over six figures on the launch.
What's
It's
the plan right now? What's the timeline?
launch date is like September 18th. I think we're doing pre-launch content, a ton of pre-launch content, and then he's producing just a massive amount of content. We did like crazy thing for this launch, kind of straight out of Jeff Walker's thing, but I didn't realize how effective this would be. Is we've been doing a survey, right, which the copywriter has been using to gain information, but not only that, but those are email addresses, right? So we've
Mm-hmm.
gotten thousands of survey responses that are all going to be email addresses for the launch, that are highly engaged people, right, that have a high conversion rate on those. So yeah, I would, I think we're going to do over a six-figure launch, but it could even be like a 200K range with
Multi six figure.
yeah. So but yeah, I think that'll be worth it, even though it's a bit of a pain, because I've got a pretty huge stake in that. I get a huge percentage of those sales, and then if it's relaunched, the assets already created, it'll be simple to, I won't even involve me to relaunch it basically. So
Yeah. Yeah. Should be fun. I mean, you got a month now, so
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah.
what I'm noticing right now with my audience, remember I told you like our best Quantum Leap customers are Focusbox customers.
Yeah.
What's effectively happening is our best Quantum Leap customers are basically solid business owners who are making good money,
Uh-huh.
and they we can like making good money as in at least making six figures. At that point, we're able to help them tremendously and get really good results for them. Um, Earlier, when I was selling it at a cheaper price, it was like a free for all. Anyone could get in, and we were getting like all sorts of shit customers from it because they weren't just serious about anything. They were just like, "Oh, this is a good, sounds like a good deal for trying it
Right.
out for a month or two," and they just didn't have any skin in the game or
Yeah.
anything like that. And as I was kind of doing the whole Quantum Leap thing, I realized price is actually one of the benefits.
Yeah. Yeah.
A higher price is one of the benefits you're selling in the program. Not a lower price, but a higher price.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because a higher price is what causes investment on their behalf to
Yep.
do the thing they need to do to get the results. So now we're getting customers like because they're paying like thousands of dollars, there's so much more like they show up excited. They are they're fans of Quantum Leap from like day one
Right.
or day two or day three because they're ready to do the work.
Right.
These are not the people we have to push and be like, oh, you haven't shown up yet. Why haven't you shown up? Like that's what we had to do back in the day. But now when we ask them to pay more, we're getting a much better quality of customer and much better results already within the first few weeks or within a month. So the interesting challenge I have is like people who have already gone through Focusbox, it's easy to ascend them into Quantum Leap because
Yeah.
they've already been sold, because they already are a believer, because they've already seen how effective Focusbox are. They're like, damn, if Focus, like literally, I had multiple customers who were like, Focusbox is great. What else do you have?
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Right. That's the level of trust. Like when you have customers asking you, what else do you have? You know, like your product is working like gangbusters, right?
Yeah.
Because customers are like, okay, I know shit is working. Now tell me what else, how else, what's the next level of help you can provide me?
Well, and here's the thing, like this is something to think about too, right? Like Alex Hermosi was talking about this a lot too, because he was saying like the way that you really grow a business, aside from all of the other lead generation things, is referral, because that is the thing that ultimately multiplies all the other effect methods and makes them more effective, right? So if you've got this awesome product, that one of the strategies you should be doing is trying to get people to talk about it. Like, how can you get people that are kicking ass with Focusbox to like tell their friends and get people to join? Because if you can get, for every one person that joins Focusbox, if in the lifetime of their, of their time using Focusbox, they get, half a person, on average to join, that multiplies everything, right? That's like the biggest multiplier that you can have in the business. And since you have such a solid product, I think that one thing that would make sense is for you to create a follow-up sequence and to have some kind of really good, high touch point referral system where you talk to people, especially maybe you have some kind of metric where you look at the most active people in Focusbox, and then you contact them and have like a couple of touch points and follow-ups where you get like a referral system in place.
So this is something that I've been working on like since day 20 of Focusbox, when I realized we were getting such good results for people. The problem back then, and the problem was until now, was that no matter how good results we're getting for our customers, it was really hard for our customers to convince their friends that this is such an amazing thing because they couldn't explain,
Right.
they couldn't sell focus blocks because
Yeah.
it's the problem with focus blocks is because it's so freaking simple and so powerful. It's hard for people to explain that anything like that could actually make that big a difference.
Right.
So most
yeah.
people failed. Most of my customers fail at getting new clients because they just can't explain to their friends why this is so good.
Right.
Right. For example, one of our customers is User, and he's a fan. Like he's been using it like crazy. He does like 50, 60 focus blocks a week, more or less, since the last 1 year. And he has a whole lot of friends who are into productivity and all that stuff. And he's tried to convince them over the last like year. And he's like, dude, I'm tired of trying to convince them of why it's working, because they're still like, nah, I could do this on my own and all that shit. So
Right.
so the problem that we were having until now was that we just didn't have a good, solid way to convert people or convert referrals either, because people just didn't get it. And
Right.
to expect my customers to be able to sell when I myself am not like 100% clear on what's getting it to sell
Right.
was really hard. But I'm hoping that with this new webinar, with the new
Yeah.
Evergreen webinar, all of this will
Just-
change, because now even when we get new customers right now on focus blocks from directly from the sales page, I'm worried because
Yeah.
I want them to go through the webinar, because the sales
Right.
page is like so small and so short. I know that I won't be able to, like, they are not yet convinced and they need a lot more convincing to get them the results that I can get for them. So it's almost like I have to go back and be like, hey man, did you watch this training? Make sure to watch this training.
Right.
And there's a
Yeah.
special deal inside the training that you can also avail. So it's almost like a double, like, even when I get a customer, I'm like, okay, we need them to go through the webinar. There's no other way. Like, they
Yeah.
have to go through the damn webinar. So that it's like, yeah, getting referrals, but we needed a marketing system to get to convert any kind of referral. So now the hope is that I can just tell my customers to go send this webinar to their friends, and they'll opt in, and we'll do the rest, and we'll pay them the money.
Yeah.
By the way, one of the guys from your Well program, he signed up for Focus Blocks, but he signed up directly through the sales page.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, but I have to get him to go through the webinar so that he can get a deal as well. But there were like quite a few people who were interested in it, so we'll see.
Oh, good. Yeah, and I think with like getting other people to promote focus blocks within your audience, I don't think you should do a referral program, not a paid one. It's more effective, more powerful if they're, because what ends up happening is when they're paid referral programs, unless they're actually good marketers, they end up selling it too hard because they have a conflicted interest. So you want them to be evangelists because they love it so much, not because they have a stake in it. I would say, right? I mean, it's different when you've got business partners who, have their own audience and lists and whatnot, and offering an affiliate deal. But
seasoned
for your
marketers,
for your own customers, I think it's better to just do something where it's not incentive like based, right? Or what you do is, like, if they refer someone, you don't tell them, but then you send them like an Amazon gift card, right? Just as a thank you. This way they're not incentivized to they're incentivized to get more customers now, but it's a different motivation,
नीचे होगा. Yeah, that's interesting. I never really considered that as an option to promote. Yeah, it's true.
but yeah, and if you can get them to just tell their friends to just go over to this webinar, I think
This
that's the way to
training.
do it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's the same thing as like, timeshares or whatever, they there's no way that like what they just want you to just tell someone to go do this thing, right? Like because they know that person's not going to be able to sell it. You're not going to be able to sell a high ticket, to someone else unless it's going to take a webinar to do it. So
Yeah, so you have to sell them to the webinar. Yeah, that's good. I have to try it and see what happens. But first, I have to get this webinar like through cold traffic to really know what's going on with this one.
Yeah.
It's always nerves. Like I'm surprised. Like not surprised. I'm kind of realizing that I dragged on releasing this evergreen webinar for almost a week, just tweaking this and tweaking that and tweaking this and tweaking that and doing this and doing that. And then I was like, dude, stop this madness. I know I'm just like doing this just to avoid fear of failure is what's like I'm tweaking this and tweaking that just because of fear of failure, not because the truth is it will never be perfect. And I just have to put it out there. So I just wasted a whole week doing this shit, and I was like, okay, enough. Just push play and see what happens.
Yeah. I think the big thing is, the software you're using now should give you analytics data, right, on the viewership and the drop-offs and all that, right? So
it's not as good. So I would have to transition to another software for that. I might do that actually. Now that I'm in the webinar game, I will probably have to play with a few softwares to get that. This one is not as good.
Oh, okay. Because it'd be good to have that data, so then you can know what you actually need to tweak, based on. So
yeah, the drop off is really a crucial thing. If I can have that curve, and that's going to be good. And the other webinar software that I'm working through right now, there's a couple of bugs. Yeah. But once I do that one has much better data. So hopefully through that I will know. It's just, and it has a lot of robust A/B testing features and things like that. So I'll get a lot more granularity on what's working, what's not working.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, but I'm excited to see what Evergreen Webinar does for this game now.
Yeah, you just launched it today, so you'll start to see some results coming in.
Probably, yeah. Next couple of days. So hopefully in a week I'll know better what's working, what's not working. If it's complete trash, it needs to be redone, or what it is. Yeah.
Good. Okay, cool. All right. Well, I guess we should probably wrap it up here. All right.
Yeah. Let's wrap it up. So my thought for the week is I should have launched my Evergreen webinar a week before I did a week ago. So I wasted 7 days. I lost 7 days.
Yeah.
Because I allowed myself to overanalyze and not over, like the real word is fear of failure. Like I was just like thinking, oh, I will fail at this. Like, what if this doesn't work? Then what? Right. And in the process, I was so busy like making all these small, stupid tweaks and wasting a whole week of data collection, a whole week of revenue generation and all of those things. So my thought is that this kind of shit happens to, I guess, we have to be very wary to not let this shit happen, or to catch this and cut it off. And I don't even know if there is a strategy for it, because it's easy. Like when I look back, it's like, oh yeah, 80-20, just get the 80% done, and or get the 20% that will get the 80% and all those things. But I don't even know what's that 80-20. But then as soon as I roll it out, suddenly I see, oh man, all the shit I was waiting for, that was just useless. All the shit that I was trying to do, just a waste of effort and time and energy.
Yeah.
So the key is just speed. move faster and break things faster. Move fast and break things, as what Zuckerberg says. So yeah, that's the motto. Break things more often and move faster. Move even
Yeah,
faster than you think you're moving.
agreed. Let me see. I think I've got two potential thoughts. I guess, I mean, I think the more relevant one is well, yeah, okay. So this is, I think this is good, is motivation, right? So, after going on the trip vacation, right? I got up this morning and and I really didn't feel like going for a run, and getting getting back on board, right? Motivation goes down after a break, right? That's what I think people don't realize, is because motivation is directly related to momentum. And so a lot of people will go on a break or vacation in order to replenish and get their motivation back, and then they come back and they find it has the opposite effect, that they're actually less motivated, right? And the reason why that is true is because motivation is directly related to momentum, and you need to have momentum. And so the solution to that is to just regain momentum, right? I have the 3-day rule, where it's like you spend 3 days, whether you feel like it or not, and just busting ass, right? Even if it's just torture, but if you do that, you'll gain momentum, and then you'll get motivation, right? So that's something that, and even it doesn't even have to necessarily take that long. As soon as I got out there for the run this morning and did the run, then I felt good, felt like running again. But I think most people, especially in business, the reason why they give up or they quit is because they have an interruption in their momentum, which causes a lack of motivation, and then they're waiting to get the motivation back. But that the momentum comes before the motivation. So
Nice. Yeah, agree.
all right, cool. All right, we'll see you next week.